Hello y'all, welcome to the first review on my channel, and today we are going to be taking a look at the new Paragon 4 Broadway Limited E6 with Rolling Thunder. To start off the review, I would like to take a quick look at just the features that this thing has. So, a rundown is it has the new Paragon 4 sound system. You have many separately fitted parts. There are almost no cast pieces on this entire locomotive. Most piping all over the boiler, as well as many separately fitted handrails, and even cab curtains on the cab. There are many separately fitted parts throughout. The one problem I did notice is that the multiple different parts tend to be loose on it, so that is something to watch out for. But other than this small nitpick, there is plethora of details. Some of these include the pilot area where you have a separately fitted coupler cut bar, working marker lights at the front, as well as a working headlight, a working smoke unit, and going back a real brass bell, and then you have fully working running gear as well as a separately fitted Westinghouse pump on the side with all of its related piping and other parts here and there. You also have more marker lights on the front, as this is the pre-war version, numbered 89. Moving back to the cab, there is a plethora of detail throughout. Although, something that would be nice is, I've seen this on multiple different locomotives, such as the, like, just say, let's see, Hatton's P-Class. It does not have any real separately fitted parts inside of the cab. There are mostly cast details in there, and none of it is separately painted. Although there are separately fitted crew figures inside of the cab. Then interior lighting inside of the cab, which is turned on when idle, but when in motion turns off. The headlight gets brighter when in forwards and dimmer in stationary. The coal load is extremely realistic as well, I would like to mention. And you have the proper gold leaf lettering for a passenger locomotive for the Pennsylvania Railroad. You also have the proper safety valves and bell pair firebox. The only problem I have with the safety valves is they are not metal, which clashes with the bell and whistle, which happens to be right behind the safety valves. So the brass painted safety valves kind of clash with the real brass whistle. But moving on, behind that you have an opening cab vent at the top, and many separately fitted parts, including a movable drop plate between the tender and the locomotive. And then there are multiple parts, such as some levers and even a little fireman's shovel on the tender by the coal chute. The coal load, as I mentioned before, is extremely realistic. I'm not too sure, but it might be made out of real coal. Another thing to mention is the rear of the tender. All the lights on the rear of the locomotive are functional, and there are many separately fitted parts, including legible builder's plates on the rear, and and as I forgot to mention before, there are not separately fitted, but there are legible builder's plates that have been printed on the front that say E6S Altoona Works. There are separately fitted parts coming towards the back, um, such as the ladders for the tender, the the wa the water intakes for the tender, and the electrical conduit for the multiple different lights. Speaking of lights, all the marker lights and including the reversing light all are operational on this locomotive. You can s- you can separately turn on and off the marker lights depending on what you want to do or whether or not you have pro lighting mode turned on. The other thing is that the all lights are able to be like switched around and controlled via CVs on the locomotive, and most things on this locomotive are able to be changed since there are five, I believe, different whistle presets and I think three different bell presets. There is your normal whistle. You have three others that you can choose from by changing certain CVs. And then by pressing F22, it changes it to an alternative whistle, which is different from all the others, which I find slightly odd, but it works. But it doesn't switch to it permanently. You have to press F22 every time you start up the locomotive. Speaking of the startup, F9 is your startup, while F8 is your sound mute. I've never owned a locomotive like this before, so I am normally used to having F8 as just the regular, oh, I'm just gonna start this up via F8. But having a separate button to do a full startup sequence is quite convenient, as it allows me to have a little bit of fun with what I do, and also the attention to detail with how you can turn on and off the lights is splendid. When you turn the lights on and off, it causes a sound to be triggered that sounds almost like the dynamo on the front of the steam-powered generator, the dynamo, whirring up and down based on like whether or not your lights are on or whether they're off. It's really intriguing. There's also multiple different functions, such as F13, which is a whistle preset that'll blow a grade crossing horn, or a grade crossing signal, as it is for a steam locomotive. This this will do two long blasts and two short blasts of the whistle to alert those at a grade crossing if you so wish to activate it. That is F13. F12 is the manual brake release that you can press. It causes different sounds if you are using it while in motion or stationary. Some other really nice features of this locomotive are the riveting. I've absolutely loved this thing for its just splendid detail. The paintwork is amazing. The molding itself, the casting of this whole thing, mostly made out of metal, might I say, is outstanding. Now, some of the rivets can seem a bit chunky, but honestly, I'm not too picky about that sort of thing. And it looks pretty good to me. On the rear, there's also there's also your air pipes and steam pipes for your coaches, as well as a metal knuckle coupler and a separately fitted coupler cut bar as well. And that pretty much concludes this not a running session, but more just a all-out review of the locomotive. If you would like to see this locomotive in action, I will link that video in the description and also put it at the end of the video. So I'm just gonna leave you for a couple minutes just to look at this locomotive. I'll show a couple pictures around. But since this is the first actual review on my channel, I'd just like to say hi, I'm John, and thank you for all for being here, and see you all in the next one.